I was out in the pasture taking care of my horses when I saw her again. There she stood in the middle of my corral, designer sunglasses perched on the bridge of her nose, clipboard in hand, pointing at my fence posts as if she were the queen of the prairie. Karen Whitmore, would-be dictator of the Willowbrook HOA, had officially gone from pesky neighbor to outright trespasser. "You need to cut down these weeds immediately," she snapped, her tone gruff enough to make dogs howl 3 counties away. The fence? Completely unacceptable. Paint is coming off it, and it's decreasing our property value. I breathed deeply, resisting the urge to say something I'd regret. "Karen, for the 100th time, this is my property. You are trespassing. The HOA does not rule here. Now vacate my corral before you spook my horses." Her face was beet red. "You don't dare threaten me, Luke Morrison. I know my rights." She brandished her phone like a weapon. "I'm calling 911. This man is threatening to hurt me." She spun a melodramatic story into the telephone, fabricating and telling them that I was running after her with farm equipment and issuing violent threats. Within minutes, I could hear sirens racing down my dirt road. 2 cruisers stopped in my driveway, officers jumping out with hands on holsters. "Sir, step away from the lady and place your hands in front of us where we can see them," the lead officer commanded. Thus did I meet Deputy Rodriguez and learn that the deadliest predators don't always come with fangs. Sometimes they are cloaked in pearls and carry clipboards. I'll begin again. My name is Luke Morrison. I run the Double M Ranch, 40 peaceful acres outside the Willowbrook subdivision. I used to ride rodeo until Tornado reorganized my spine for me. I'm just raising quarter horses nowadays and minding my own business. But peace went out the window 3 years ago when Willowbrook sprouted up like a rash on my eastern flank. And Karen Whitmore moved into one of those Matchbox McMansions. She campaigned for HOA president and shortly thereafter began waging war on anything that wasn't part of her beige and brick vision of suburbia. She started with friendly suggestions, painting my barn, hiding my horse trailer. Official-sounding correspondence on fake HOA letterhead followed. When I tried to get it straight, politely, at one of their board meetings that my property wasn't subject to them, Karen just smiled that tight smile and said she'd look into it. From there, things got worse. Anonymous complaints started showing up in my mailbox about the sound of my rooster, the smell of manure, the way my hay bales were stacked. Then came the bogus code enforcement visits. One inspector actually told me to consider filing a harassment claim. Then I woke up one morning to discover a landscaping crew cutting away at my hedge. Karen was with them, clipboard clutched in her hand, saying she was doing me a favor. It took the sheriff showing up to make them vacate the premises. That's when I purchased security, 8 high-def night vision cameras that cover my entire property line. Best thing I ever did. I got motion notifications on my phone one Tuesday afternoon. I checked the feed, and there she was, Karen, creeping around my property like she was conducting a home inspection. She took 20 minutes photographing my barn, equipment, hay bales, even my horses. She came back the following day, and the day after that. By the end of the week, I had a highlight reel of trespassing for the courtroom. I wrote her a cease and desist letter and brought my neighbor Tom along as a witness. He himself had experienced dealings with her escapades. I saw Karen in my north pasture, within the fence lines again, photographing my compost pile. "Karen, it has to stop," I told her, attempting to keep my voice even. Tom recorded the whole episode on his phone. "You're trespassing. I've got you on tape every day this week. Here's a cease and desist letter. If you come back, I'll charge you." And that's when she lost it. Started screaming I was operating an illegal commercial facility, that she'd have my ranch condemned, that she'd sue me for everything I owned. She stormed off, screaming legal threats down her back. 20 minutes went by, and I was in the kitchen making coffee when the sirens blared for the second time. 2 police cars, officers with drawn guns. "Sir, come out, hands up." Karen had called in another false one. This one, that I threatened her with a shovel. I laughed, which probably wasn't the best thing to do. "I don't even have a shovel. I do everything with a tractor. And I have cameras. Do you want to see what really happened?" They did. I presented them with the video, several shots, audio, and everything. Tom gave his statement too. The officers changed from fearful to angry. "She said you were violent and volatile," Deputy Rodriguez said. "But this is clearly a lie." He took away his notepad. "We'll need copies of everything. Filing a false police report is no joke. So is trespassing. We'll be talking to Mrs. Whitmore." By the next morning, the whole community knew what had happened. Karen's meltdown was the stuff of legend. But instead of backing down, she doubled up. She called an emergency HOA meeting for that Saturday, citing emergency safety concerns. Her agenda proposed new view ordinances that would give the HOA jurisdiction over properties adjacent to the subdivision. Tom called me immediately. "She's trying to legally intimidate you into compliance." So I made a few phone calls. Lo and behold, plenty of people in Willowbrook were sick of Karen too. The meeting was packed, standing room only. Karen looked exhausted but stubborn, going on about visual harmony and protecting our investments. That's when Margaret Chen stood up, a retired attorney who'd had enough. "Point of order," she said. "Karen, you're under criminal investigation for trespassing and false reporting to the police. Do you even have the right to preside?" The room erupted into pandemonium. They testified individually about harassment, bogus fines, HOA abuses. One mentioned the landscaping crew she'd sent to do my hedge. Another one spoke of how she'd fined them for putting the wrong flowers in. "I moved that a vote of no confidence," Margaret said. Nearly every hand rose. "I also moved the HOA obtain a restraining order on Karen on behalf of Luke Morrison," she continued. Another vote, nearly unanimous. Then came Richard Stevens, treasurer of the HOA, standing up with the bylaws. Section 12, subsection 3, any board member who is found to have committed a crime that brings disrepute to the association may be removed and fined up to $5,000. I move to enforce this provision. The vote was swift. Within an hour, Karen was president turned pariah, with a $5,000 fine from the very HOA she had ruled. I installed a new gate the following week, intercom, electronic lock, and a bold new sign, "Private property, no trespassing, no cars allowed." And how did it turn out for Karen? It took several months, but justice eventually caught up. Deputy Rodriguez kept me posted. She was convicted of criminal trespass and false reporting to police. The judge, who had no doubt had little patience for her kind, handed out 200 hours of community service, 12 months probation, and a $3,000 fine. Her real estate license was suspended for 6 months, which earned her a small fortune in lost commissions. The look on her face when the sentence was read? Priceless. Like she'd just realized that the world doesn't spin around her. She'd used the HOA as a sword, but had forgotten that justice has a bigger blade. Stand with us against HOA bullies? Click the like button. Did you ever have to contend with terror neighbor Karen? Share your story in the comments. We're listening. Don't forget to subscribe for more true stories of justice, drama, and revenge served cold. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder. Property rights still matter.